Greetings, royal family. Thank you for clicking on my video. This is Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 1, Episode 2. All right. So Tyler Perry picked right up where he left off last week. So the episode opens. Remember, Andi is the high-powered or the new divorce attorney. So she's on to her second high-priced client. And then we know now that that client is Gary's wife. Gary is the guy that she is sleeping with. Okay. So opens right up. Gary's wife and Andi, they're in the office. And Andi realizes that she is basically sitting in front of the wife of the man that she's sleeping with. So Andi is the mistress in her own office at the law firm that she works at. So she basically runs to the bathroom. She excuses herself. She runs to the bathroom. She checks to make sure that no one is in the stalls. And she calls her girl, Karen. Remember, Karen is the only one that knows that Gary is married. She calls Karen and she's just trying to tell her, like, look, the wife is here. She's in my office. She wants me to represent her. And Karen is like, oh, hell no. Sounds like Maya Wilkes from Girlfriends. Anyway, so she's asking her, like, what are you going to do? And she was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, you can't take her. And she's just like, I just started this job. This is the most money that I've made in a very long time. Then girl, what is the problem? Okay. So again, she's like, she had to vent to someone. So she seems to be very close with Karen. They seem to have like a separate little relationship because she's kind of holding her secret, Karen. So I don't know. I kind of like that. Their dynamic is very, very interesting. I'll get into that later. Anyway, Andi, she tells Karen, like, this woman doesn't want anyone else. She wants her because remember, she was referred by the first client that Andi had that won the firm like $6 million. So, word travels fast. So Andi, you're in demand. So not only does Gary want you, the wife wants you too. Woo, what a dynamic. So I was here for this. I was totally here for this. So Andi she goes to her boss and she says, I don't think I can handle this case. I don't think I could take this case. Maybe you should pass her on to someone more experienced. And he's like, no. He said, I'm going to be blunt. She asked for a black woman and, you got the firm $6 million. She was referred to you. This is a high priced client. You just have a little bit of cold feet. At first, he was being a little mean about it. But then I think she kept trying to press him and tell him, like, look, I don't think I should take this client. There's a conflict of interest. And he said, you know what? You're just nervous. You got cold feet. Go in there. You got it. You know what I mean? You got it. But you could tell that he was kind of ticked off. He really didn't care what she had to say or what was going on. He just wants the money. Okay. And it makes him look good because he's the one that referred her for the job, the position that she's in. So Andi tries to tell the wife client, that's what I'm going to call her. Andi tries to tell the wife client, she can refer her to one of her colleagues. And the lady's like, no, I want you. It's like, ooh. She says, no, she wants Andi. So Andi asks her if, why she wants a divorce. So you can tell that Andi is really trying to keep it together, keep her composure together. And this is so crazy. Like, I love this. I love this little plot. Like, I'm here for this. So Andi just is like, can I ask what she's trying to keep a poker face on, but you could tell that she is like melting inside. Oh my God. So she's like, may I ask why you want a divorce? And the wife client says, how much time you got? She said, he's a liar, a cheater, an abuser. And she said that the wife client is basically telling Andi that she hired a private investigator. So I'm like, what? A private investigator? Ooh, Andi, girl, you in danger. And she said, the wife client said, I want to know who that B is. And the wife knows that, the wife said that, I know he's going to divorce me. I know it's coming, but I want to beat him to it. So the private detective that the wife client hired is basically following him. She says that she thinks that it's someone at the gym because he parks at the building across from the gym, and then he doesn't go to the gym until an hour later or 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So I'm like, oh my God. So Andi was like, do they have anything? She's trying to figure out, like, do they know who it is? You know what I mean? And she said, the private investigator is basically going to come up with something soon because she wants to know who that bee is. Girl, Andi, this is too much. So then we go on to Zach and Karen. And I'm going to be honest with you, they are getting on my nerves. Point blank, period. So Zach and Karen, he's trying to apologize about everything, and she blacks out on him. And because, the night before they slept together, and I guess Zach must have thought that would reconcile everything. So he's trying to apologize. And he's trying to tell her, like, oh, I apologize for everything. She blacks out on him and tells him that, last night was a mistake. I want you to leave. I want your stuff gone. I want you out. She brings up his cheating. When I was with you last night, I was wondering, were you doing this and that to her? And he's just like, you want me gone? And she's like, yes, I want you gone. Next scene, Sabrina gets flowers from Calvin, and he does ask her on a second date. Andi and Karen. So Karen is mad that Zach left after she told him to leave. Anyway, Sabrina and Calvin, he tells his story. So Sabrina and Calvin, they meet up, and they're on their second lunch date. And he basically tells his story. He does have a child. He has a child with a woman that he met on Instagram. He has a son with a woman he met on Instagram. And after only 2 days of knowing her, they were intimate and it produced a child. So Sabrina wasn't judgmental. She was just like, okay, wow, and in the middle of their conversation, in walks Lance. So Lance is, I guess, Calvin's friend. I don't know to what level their friendship is, but Lance walks in and Lance is like, hey, Calvin. He's very, very spicy. They greet each other, they hug, and then Lance and Calvin peck each other on the lips. And Sabrina is sitting there looking like, what the heck? Yeah. So next scene, we see Karen and Andi. They go off to a restaurant and they're talking. And Andi is just basically venting to Karen, like wondering, what is she going to do? I can't represent this lady. And they get a text message from Sabrina because she hightails it out of the restaurant. And she wants to tell them what's going on. So they're getting ready to meet up. And Karen is saying, you better hurry up and wrap up this conversation before, the other ladies get here. Now, this is why I say the dynamic of their friendship, Andi and Andrea and Karen, is because here it is, Karen's boyfriend is constantly cheating on him, and Andi is a mistress. Like, that's real interesting. That's an interesting dynamic because Andi and Karen are friends, but Andi is essentially the other woman technically. And Karen is going through, hell and high water with her boyfriend because of another woman. So I find that dynamic real interesting. And Andi like confides in Karen so confidently, like, she's not judging her, but I'll be interested to see what Tyler Perry does with that dynamic because I noticed it. I was like, that's a real interesting dynamic. Anyway, now the wife client. Do y'all think that the wife client knows about Andi and her husband and is setting her up? Because Karen said something. Karen said, like, she hired a private investigator. Like, what if she already knows? And Andi's just like, no. But what do you think? Do you think that she may already know and she's trying to set her up? I wouldn't be surprised. See, Tyler Perry, you could take it there. You know what I'm saying? You could take the plot there. But I'll be patient and see how that plays out. So Danny arrives. Remember, Danny is the friend that's very outspoken. who works at the airport. So Karen is being real extra nice to Danny. And she's like, oh, you know, I'll pay for your lunch. And she wants to talk about Zach, basically. Because remember, Danny and Zach, which is Karen's boyfriend, they work together they work at the same airport. They don't work together, but they work at the same airport. So I noticed that Karen is like, hey, girl, you know, I'm going to buy you lunch today. And it's just like, I'm watching you, Karen, because are you using her to kind of like grill and sneak off, like, you know, like find out information to see what Zach is doing because you know she's down to defend you, and she always confronts Zach at her job. Danny, girl, don't lose your job because that man is going to be right back in Karen's bed the next day or the day after that. But whatever. Danny seems to love it. But I'm watching you, Karen. Now, Sabrina arrives and she tells the lady about Calvin and his friend, like the way he embraced his friend. So, of course, they're like, ooh, you know, and I think Lance said something like, you know, the last time I saw you, I was in so much pain. So, you know, Danny is laughing and Sabrina doesn't really find that funny. But it's like, girl, just asking what you want to know, you know, but whatever. And they also talked about the kiss. All right, so they all eventually run out of the restaurant, leaving Sabrina to foot the bill. Now, this was very reminiscent of Girlfriends, Tyler Perry. We seen Mara Brock-Akil do that. The Girlfriends used to always do that and stiff Joan with the check. I'm just not over Girlfriends not ending properly, y'all. Sorry. Now, Sabrina consults with her co-worker, Maurice, her gay co-worker, and she pretty much asks him, like, you know, is it ignorant for me to assume that a straight man is gay because he has a relationship with a gay man? So he says, oh, yeah, you know, that's very ignorant. And then she proceeds to tell him that the way that Lance embraced Calvin and they kissed on the lips, and he's like, oh yeah. He said he basically confirms that he's gay. And he's just encouraging her, just ask him, you know, just ask the man what it is that you want to know. And he said, yeah, that's definitely gay, you know, and you can tell she looked a little bit sad. And she's like, you know, I like him, you know, he's kind of sweet. So that's why Maurice was just like, you know, just ask the man what you want to know. All right. So Andi is in her office. It's late at night. Her boss comes and checks in on her, and he offers her a 11% pay increase and wants to make sure that she's comfortable and happy in her transition here at the firm. No, he wants you to just keep making him look good. I don't know. It's something about him that I don't like, and I don't like the way that she calls him, yes, sir. Doesn't he have a name like Mr. like Bojangles? Like, what's his name? Like, I don't know. I don't know why that irks me so much. She's like, sir, sir, sir. That's just my own thing. Anyway, now, basically, as long as Andi is paid and happy, you know, she'll keep winning cases. That's the motive. You know, money talks. So she tells him again that she cannot keep the wife client as her client because there's huge conflict of interest. And he just is adamant. Now he starts to get very aggressive and he's like, how? Like, how is there what's the conflict of interest? And she says, I know her husband. So he tells her to go home. He asked her, how do you know her husband? She didn't say anything. So he was like, I see. He's like, I suggest that you go home. And she says, you're firing me? He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, heck no, I'm not firing you. You know, you're one heck of a negotiator. Like, you know, he knows that she brings money, you know what I mean? And she brings results. So he's not going to fire her. He's stated to her that she should really think long and hard about this conflict, you know, and is it really a conflict? You know, he tells her, like, you really should think about this because this woman who referred the wife client is the head of some sort of prestigious ladies group in the South. And that's another thing. Where are they? Excuse me. Where are they? I don't know where the show takes place. Like where in the world are they? Are they in Atlanta? What? We don't know that yet. But anyway, so yeah, he's just basically kind of telling her in a nice but not so nice way, you really need to consider if this is really a conflict. Okay, you need to think long and hard. And he basically told her also, like, FYI, we never had this conversation. So the next is Karen is in the supermarket. She is looking at a couple holding hands. I think they have a little kid. And she's just gazing. And this guy comes up to her and said, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, marriage is not all it's cracked up to be. So, they start talking. And she just like basically brushes him off. She doesn't want to be bothered. And he was like, you see that attitude? That's why you don't have a man, he said to her. And she's like, how do you know that I don't have a man, or mind your business or something like that? So they start cursing each other out. And he's just like, why did he say this? Because this sets people off. It sets women off. That's why I only date white women, because you black girls have an attitude. So she turned around and she cussed him out in the supermarket. And it was so hilarious because people were like peeking out the aisles and looking. And there were a couple of women that's like, yeah, you're tied behind. That's right. And they were clapping and stuff. And he eventually, when she was out in the parking lot, Karen, she was out in the parking lot and she was eating ice cream in her car. He came over and he apologized to her, and he stated to her that he's going through issues in his relationship, in his marriage, and his wife was unfaithful. And Karen asked, was she white? And he pretty much confirmed yes, that she was. And they end up sitting in the car eating ice cream with each other. Now, this scene reminds me of a time in Girlfriends when Maya and Darnell broke up. And remember, I think it was the baseball player or something like that. The baseball player, tall, fair skin, had like a accent. He was very interested in Maya, and he was dating Maya for that short period of time. Y'all don't remember that? Anyway, that's what that reminded me of. Now, Danny is at work, minding her business, complaining that her feet hurt. Remember, she works at the airport, and she's seen Gary and a woman, walking through the airport. So she's looking like, let me make sure this timer is still going. She's looking like, wait a minute, what? And she walks up. You can see that she, was walking toward them, and then the show ends. Now, it was his wife that he was walking with. Now, it's interesting because he had been trying to call Andi, and Andi has not been answering his calls. And she did listen to one of his voicemails saying that, I've been trying to call you. I'm traveling out of town. Hopefully I'll get to see you when you come back. So what's up with these two? So like, you're traveling out of town, but you're traveling with your wife. Your wife is about to divorce you, and she's keeping that on the low. Something ain't right. Tyler Perry, you might have something up your sleeve, and I am totally here for it. I don't want to be able to predict the plot line. I want to be pleasantly and maybe unpleasantly surprised. As long as I don't predict the plot line, to me, that's a good show. Even if I don't like the way things turn out, even if I don't like the way the characters, what direction the characters go, I can always respect an unpredictable plot line. So Tyler Perry, you got me right where you want me, sir. You have me right where you want me, Mr. Perry. This is episode 2. I mean, I'm here for it. I am here for it. And remember, the only one that knows that he's married is Karen. So Danny is probably about to walk up on them and say, hey, Gary, who's this? Oh, this is gonna be interesting. It seems like the storyline for Andi is extremely interesting, and I'm here for it. But I like what Tyler Perry is doing at the end. You leave a major cliffhanger, so it's like we gotta watch, and he picks right up where he leaves off. So, yeah, okay. I'm gonna be honest, Karen and Zach, I mean, I like DeVal. DeVal is who plays Zach. But Karen, you guys are like, already. Like, what's it gonna be? But I guess I have to be patient. This is only episode 2. So if you've seen it, tell me what you think. If you haven't seen it, hopefully I painted a clear picture of what's going on. I know a lot of people are not watching this show. So for those of you who don't watch and you watch my reviews, thank you. Hopefully I make it interesting. But get down in the comments, Royal Family. Let me know if you've seen episode 1, if you've seen episode 2, and what are you thinking so far? Like, is it too soon to kind of judge? Is it too soon to kind of give too much of a critique? Or should we just give Tyler Perry a chance to see where he's going? I think I'm going to give it a chance, even if I am disappointed. I'm willing to give it a chance. So get down in the comments. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, Royal Family. And I will see you next week for episode 3 of season 1 of Sistas. Until next time, peace.